So, today we're diving into the really complex relationship of one of Hollywood's most famous sister duos, Hilary and Haylie Duff. For years, they were the absolute picture of sisterly perfection. But, behind that glossy facade, a much quieter, more complicated story was unfolding. So what really happened to their seemingly unbreakable bond? Let's get into it.
And this really gets right to the heart of it. The image we all saw was these inseparable Hollywood sisters, always supportive, totally in sync. But the reality? It was a quiet, long-standing distance. This wasn't about some single dramatic fight, but more like a slow, subtle drift that happened completely away from the cameras.
To really understand how things changed, we have to go back to how it all started. Let's rewind to when they were known as Hollywood's Golden Sisters, an inseparable duo that pretty much defined sisterhood for a whole generation. And this image, it was absolutely everywhere. I mean, as pop culture icons of the 2000s, they were a total fixture on red carpets. They worked together on music, on other creative projects, and of course, Haylie had that memorable role on Hilary's star-making show, Lizzie McGuire. Publicly, everyone saw them as one of the closest sibling pairs in the entire industry.
And then came the moment that changed everything. When Hilary Duff became Lizzie McGuire, she wasn't just a star, she was a global phenomenon. This international fame really set the stage for their joint careers and totally cemented that public image of them as this powerful, unbeatable team.
So, if that public image was so perfect, what was really going on behind the scenes? Let's talk about the quiet fracture that started to form, far, far away from the spotlight.
What's so fascinating here is that this story just completely subverts what we expect from a celebrity feud. There were no shouting matches, no public call-outs on social media. Insiders are really clear on this. There was no big, explosive fight, not a single dramatic incident you can point to.
So, what was the real issue then? Well, it all boils down to one thing: emotional distance. It wasn't a sudden break, but this slow, gradual disconnect. And it was fueled by all the things that can affect any relationship. Different personalities, taking separate life paths, and personal struggles, all playing out over many, many years.
So what does that emotional distance actually look like in real life? Well, sources say they simply grew apart, which is something I think a lot of us can relate to. As they went from their teens into adulthood, their own identities and boundaries naturally started to shift. The rift wasn't really built on anger, but on years of quiet miscommunication and just the incredible pressure of trying to forge their own separate paths.
And this brings us to a really powerful turning point in this whole story: Hilary's emotional honesty. She became incredibly open about her struggles, and in doing so, she found a whole new voice in her own vulnerability. Wow. This quote really hits hard, doesn't it? To have all the fame and success in the world, and yet to openly talk about feeling lonely, and to point directly to the absence of that close emotional connection, well, that tells you everything about what truly mattered to her. It's an incredibly powerful admission. And this just powerfully illustrates a universal truth. All the trophies, the hit songs, the successful TV shows, none of it could ever fill the void left by that strained connection she was longing for. It's such a poignant reminder that our need for human connection runs so much deeper than any professional achievement. But Hilary didn't just sit with that feeling of loss. She actually took action. She started this significant journey of inner work. She focused on her mental health, she worked on building self-awareness, and she really dug deep to understand her own emotional needs. It's been a profound journey of self-discovery for her. Okay, so let's look at how these deeply personal struggles actually ended up shaping her career and her life in general, leading to some really incredible growth that went way beyond the rift. And what an evolution it has been. I mean, from the Disney sensation of the early 2000s to a global music star, and then that amazing acting relaunch with Younger. And today, she's a producer, a mother, and a true leading lady in Hollywood. Every step here shows a woman who isn't just advancing her career, but completely redefining herself on her own terms. And what makes her so relatable is that she never tried to hide the hard parts. She totally embraced the messiness of it all. By being so open, she's shown millions of people how careers and motherhood and family relationships all intersect in these real, complicated, and, beautifully imperfect ways. So, that brings us to today. What does the future actually hold for the Duff sisters? The honest truth is, it's an unwritten ending. The story's not over. And that leads to the big question that so many fans and followers are asking. Is reconciliation possible? Can they find their way back to that closeness they once had?
So, where do things actually stand right now? Well, sources maintain that both sisters still care for each other privately. There's no public feud or bad blood. The core issue remains that same quiet, emotional distance. And rebuilding a bond across a gap like that, it takes time, it takes intention, and it takes a mutual readiness from both sides to meet in the middle.
Regardless of the final outcome, this entire chapter for Hilary has clearly been a profound lesson. It's been a lesson in self-love, in perseverance, and in redefining what family and support can even look like as we grow into adults with our own separate lives and our own needs. So, what can we all take away from this story? I think there are a few really crucial things. First, not every broken relationship is loud and dramatic. Sometimes that quiet disconnect can be just as painful. Second, Hilary's honesty about loneliness is so important because it helps other people feel seen. And finally, it's just a powerful reminder that success can't erase our fundamental emotional needs, and that healing is always a journey, not some final destination. And that leaves us with one last really thought-provoking question. Can a relationship, any relationship, truly heal from years of just quiet distance? It's a question without an easy answer, and it's definitely something worth reflecting on in our own lives.